Kevin Mitnick, the ghost in the wires. In the 80s and 90s, Kevin Mitnick was the most wanted computer criminal in the United States. The FBI believed he could launch nuclear missiles by whistling into a payphone. Mitnick was a master at social engineering, tricking people into giving up secrets. He hacked Motorola, Nokia, Sun Microsystems, and Fujitsu. He could hack phone systems and redirect calls, making him nearly impossible to track. Then came Christmas Day, 1994. Mitnick broke into the personal computer of Tsutomu Shimomura, a well-known security expert. He stole personal files and security tools. Shimomura discovered the breach on Christmas morning and immediately contacted the FBI. This became personal. What followed was a 2-month high-tech manhunt across America. Shimomura worked day and night, tracking cellular signals and tracing digital breadcrumbs that Mitnick left behind while moving from city to city. The chase led them to North Carolina. Shimomura narrowed down the location by tracking cell tower pings. He was literally driving around with equipment trying to pinpoint the exact location. On February 15th, 1995, Shimomura traced the signal to a specific apartment complex in Raleigh. The FBI surrounded the building and broke down the door. Mitnick was sitting at his computer, completely unaware they had found him. The police were terrified of what he could do. They kept him in solitary confinement and refused to let him make any phone calls. They genuinely believed he could somehow hack into systems just by talking on a phone. Mitnick spent 5 years in prison, including 8 months in complete isolation. When he was released in 2000, he was banned from using computers for 3 years. After that, he became a respected cybersecurity expert, wrote best-selling books, including The Art of Deception, and ran his own security company. He passed away in July 2023. Ryan Aykroyd, Kayla, Lulzsec's master. Ryan Aykroyd, known online as Kayla, was a core member of Lulzsec, one of the most infamous hacking groups of the 2010s. If you were online in 2011, you remember Lulzsec. They hit Sony Pictures, PBS, Fox, the CIA website, the US Senate, and even Scotland Yard. They leaked thousands of passwords and defaced websites. They even set up a phone line where people could call in and request targets to hack. On June 7th, 2011, everything changed. Lulzsec hacked InfraGard, a security company with close ties to law enforcement, and leaked personal information about police officers and federal agents. Names, home addresses, phone numbers, family details, all dumped online. This crossed a major line. The FBI and Scotland Yard made catching Lulzsec their absolute top priority. What Ryan and the others didn't know was that one of their own had already fallen. Hector Monsegur, known as Sabu, was actually the leader of Lulzsec. He had been caught by the FBI earlier and made a deal to avoid decades in prison. For months, Sabu continued operating in the group's private chat rooms, acting completely normal. He participated in planning hacks and celebrated their successes, but every single conversation was being recorded. Then came March 6th, 2012. At the exact same time, raids were carried out across 2 continents, in the UK, the US, and Ireland. Ryan was at his home in Doncaster, England. Early morning, his door exploded open. Police flooded into his house. The faceless hacker known as Kayla suddenly had a face, handcuffs, and a one-way trip to a jail cell. The group that seemed anonymous and untouchable got completely destroyed from the inside by someone they trusted. In May 2013, Ryan was sentenced to 30 months in prison. Albert Gonzalez, the cyber mafia boss. Albert Gonzalez pulled off the largest credit card theft in history at the time. 170 million credit and debit card numbers stolen. Gonzalez lived like an absolute kingpin. Luxury hotels in Miami Beach, expensive sports cars, and he threw himself a birthday party that cost $75,000. He led a well-organized criminal crew that targeted big stores and credit card companies. They hit TJX companies, Heartland Payment Systems, 7-Eleven, Hannaford Brothers, and many others. But here's the insane twist. Gonzalez was working as an FBI informant at the same time he was running his massive criminal operation. He was helping federal agents catch small-time hackers while personally pulling off multi-million-dollar thefts. In 2008, investigators started noticing something wrong. There was this guy who was supposedly just a regular college student with no real income, but he was staying in luxury hotels, driving expensive cars, and throwing parties that cost more than most people earn in a year. The Secret Service and FBI started digging into his finances. They traced bank transfers, monitored his spending, and conducted surveillance. Slowly, they started connecting his extravagant lifestyle to massive amounts of stolen credit card data being sold on underground forums. On May 7, 2008, federal agents arrested Gonzalez in New York City. When they searched his properties, even the investigators were shocked at the massive scale. Gonzalez got caught because he simply couldn't resist showing off his illegal wealth. His greed and need to live like a celebrity wrote his own arrest warrant. In March 2010, Gonzalez was sentenced to 20 years in federal prison, one of the longest sentences ever given for cybercrime at that time. The financial damage was estimated at hundreds of millions of dollars. He's set to be released later this year in 2025. Adrian Lamo, the homeless hacker. Adrian Lamo earned his nickname, the Homeless Hacker, because he literally had no permanent address. He would hack into major corporations while living in abandoned buildings and sleeping in parks. He used internet connections at Kinko's copy shops, coffee shops, and public libraries. Despite being homeless, Lamo had serious technical skills. He successfully hacked into the New York Times, Microsoft, Yahoo, and MCI WorldCom. In 2002, Lamo hacked into the New York Times' internal network. He added his own name to their list of reporters and used their passwords to access expensive research websites, running up a bill of approximately $300,000. By early 2003, the FBI had made Lamo a priority target. They were actively tracking his movements, monitoring internet cafes, and checking library computer logs. September 9th, 2003. Instead of running or hiding, Adrian Lamo walked into a federal building in Sacramento, California, and surrendered himself to authorities. By cooperating, he received a relatively light sentence, 6 months of home detention, 2 years of probation, and he had to pay back approximately $65,000. But Lamo's story takes a darker turn. In 2010, Chelsea Manning, a U.S. Army intelligence analyst, contacted Lamo online and admitted to leaking secret government files to WikiLeaks. Lamo reported Manning to the FBI. This single choice made Lamo one of the most hated figures in the entire hacker community. Many saw him as a snitch who betrayed someone who had trusted him. Lamo struggled with serious mental health issues for years. He continued living a transient lifestyle with no permanent home. In March 2018, Adrian Lamo was found dead at the age of 37. The cause of death was never fully explained, leaving his life story ending in tragedy and mystery. Gary McKinnon, the UFO hacker. Gary McKinnon, a Scottish systems administrator, hacked into 97 United States military and NASA computers over 13 months. But his motivation wasn't money or espionage. Gary was searching for evidence of UFOs and hidden free energy technology that he believed the U.S. government was keeping secret. Between 2001 and 2002, Gary was regularly accessing Pentagon networks, Air Force databases, Army systems, and NASA research systems. According to Gary, he actually found extremely strange things. He claims he discovered images of cigar-shaped objects floating in space. The U.S. government tells a different story. They claim Gary caused approximately $700,000 in damages by deleting critical files and crashing systems at a time when the military was on high alert after 9/11. In early 2002, Gary made critical mistakes. He accessed a U.S. Army computer at Fort Myer and started deleting files. Then he left a taunting message on a military computer, mocking their security. The U.S. military's computer crime investigators followed his activity through his internet service provider, tracking him straight to London, England. In March 2002, British police knocked on Gary McKinnon's door with an arrest warrant. The United States government immediately began pushing for his extradition to America. But here's where Gary's story becomes completely unique. Gary McKinnon was never sent to the United States. Despite enormous pressure from the U.S. government, he never faced trial in America. The U.S. wanted him badly. Federal prosecutors were ready to charge him with crimes that could result in 60 to 70 years in prison. Gary's defense lawyers argued that he was on the autism spectrum. Then in 2012, a top British government official named Theresa May stopped Gary from being sent to the United States. The U.S. government was furious, but there was nothing they could do. The decision was final. And even more surprisingly, Gary faced no jail time in the UK either. Gary McKinnon is now working as a systems administrator and occasionally gives talks about his experience. Look, I don't want anyone watching this to think hacking is cool or to go out and try it. I promise you, it's not worth it. These people completely destroyed their lives and spent years locked up in prison. Please stay on the right side of the law.